According to Colin. Number 10.
Okay, listen, it worries me that it's the fifth loss when leading by 10-plus points in the fourth under Kyle Shanahan. But I said this. Finally, I look at Brock Purdy and see a franchise quarterback. No Kittle, no Debo, no McCaffrey. Offensive protection at the line was okay, and he was dealing. And so to me, it's like, yeah, I know they keep losing, but the kid threw for 333 yards without his weapons. He had his number 3 receiver. Even Brandon Ayuk's not working. And they're going to get some of these guys back. But I'm sorry. I'm going to trust Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy at number 10 over Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Niners at 10.
Number 9.
The New York Jets. Here's the stat. Here's the stat that I come back to. Aaron Rodgers on third down this year has 118 passer rating. They have the best third down offense, 57% in the league. I have been a huge believer in this stat forever. If you're doing things on third down, defense rests, builds confidence. It usually means you have a smart quarterback. You're good pre-snap. You're getting better than average protection. The Jets' third down stat is a real thing, and they lead the league in it. And I do think they have a chance to grow because Garrett Wilson and Aaron are going to get better over time. They found that rookie running back out of Wisconsin. He's going to get better over time. So that stat alone puts them at 9 for me.
Number 8.
The Ravens. Listen, here's another stat. This is a flawed team. They lead the NFL in yards per play. Go ask the guys in Vegas who make a living gambling. That is a huge stat in the league. Forget that score in the Dallas game. That was an arse kicking. That game wasn't even competitive. They rolled Dallas. And Lamar Jackson, just look at his numbers this year. 318 yards a game. It's why I took him Sunday and why I'll always believe in this team. I believe in Lamar Jackson. He's not perfect. We have one quarterback in the league that's perfect. Everybody else has a hole. Lamar's my guy.
Number 7.
None of you like Philadelphia. I do. Now, Jalen Hurts, without Shane Steichen, too many turnovers. They got 1+ turnover, 18 to the last 22 games, and I don't love Sirianni. But good God, they outgained the Saints 460 yards to 219, and we love the Saints. There are just dudes everywhere. I love the owner. I love the GM. I'm not a huge fan of the coach, but I like their players. Now, their A.J. Brown comes back. That's a difference maker here. So now their receiving core is banged up. But I think winning in New Orleans, the way they did, the resiliency, the toughness, just screams Philadelphia. And I'm a Hurts guy. He's flawed. I don't think he sees the field at his height that great, but I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. I got the Eagles at 7.
Number 6.
The Detroit Lions. They finally figured out, we have the best offensive line in football and 2 above-average running backs. Maybe we should run the ball more. And they just punched Arizona, a pretty scrappy team, in the face. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that's the best running back tandem in the league, the best offensive line in the league. Just run the ball. Just run the ball. Sam Laporta's injury worries me. This is a very solid franchise. Do I trust them situationally like I would trust Kansas City in a big spot? No. No, wouldn't at all. But I think they're a really good team.
Number 5.
Okay, the Seahawks with the same players have the highest graded defense. Now, they haven't played anybody, but I'm going to tell you something right now. When I watch Seattle, you know what I see? A little like Kansas City. I see a fast defense with elite guys at linebacker in the back end. Now, again, they haven't played much, and we can bang on Geno. I'm as critical of Geno Smith as everybody. Dude is a completion machine. He completes 75% of his throws. He's not going to give you anything off script often, but he is they got a number 1 receiver. They got an edge rush. They've got it's like Kirk Cousins. They move the chains. I think they've got weapons. I think their back end is outstanding. This new coach, Mike McDonald, Baltimore's defense isn't the same. Why? The coach. They are really, really well coached on that defensive side with playmakers on offense. I think Seattle's a bit underrated right now. I have them at 5.
Number 4.
Is Matt LaFleur the second best coach in the league after Andy Reid? What he is doing with Malik Willis is insane. I feel I picked them to beat Detroit in their division. I just think this story with Malik Willis is fascinating. They also lead the NFL with 7 picks. We have been saying this for a decade. The only time Green Bay's defense has ever been great, Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl. I always feel like they underachieve defensively, but they bring the head coach from Boston College over. They're young, they're fast, they're making plays. And this has not been a playmaking defense for a long time. And what LaFleur is doing without Jordan Love is notable. This guy he doesn't promote himself. It's little market Green Bay, but I still think they're young in a lot of places, even at quarterback. But I like Green Bay a lot. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
I keep waiting for the bubble to burst, but Minnesota's good. Here's the other thing. They lead the NFL with 16 sacks, so forget the offense. Every week it's a different player defensively, and they're not even healthy. I keep saying, Kevin O'Connell has coached the reckless out of Sam Darnold. I have 3 different general managers who have always told me, you can win a lot of games with Sam Darnold. There's a lot of people in this league. Bill Belichick talked about it yesterday. Outside of the Jets, everybody likes Darnold. And it's the offensive coaches that like Sam Darnold. Back-to-back home wins. They have hammered the Niners and hammered the Texans. And by the way, I know Brian Flores hurt some feelings in Miami. Is he the best defensive coordinator in the league? I mean, Brock Purdy and C.J. Stroud are good quarterbacks. They both said after they lost to Minnesota, yeah, I saw stuff I've never seen in my life. It's like they saw UFOs. So I think Brian Flores, I know he hurt feelings in Miami. You got to give that guy a head coaching job. You got to consider him. That dude can coach.
Number 2.
I know. Buffalo, Kansas City's going to break their heart in mid-January. But Joe Brady is different. And here's the other thing. They're not as Josh Allen-centric. They're not. They've got a running game. Even Josh Allen said it. Nobody's keeping track of stats. I like them. Are they going to beat Kansas City in mid-January? Probably not. But I do think this is the best version I have seen of them. I get a little older Josh. They're not as Josh reliant, but you still get the details of Sean McDermott.
Number 1.
The thing that really is scary about Kansas City, so they've become New England now, is that they have a star quarterback and the best coach, but they're winning with defense. They're so confident situationally. I don't think people are giving this defense credit because outside of Chris Jones, they don't have a lot of big stars. Their defense is the fastest in the league. And Rashee Rice has become a number 1 wide receiver. I'm not saying he's CeeDee Lamb yet. I'm not saying he's Jamar Chase yet, but he's somewhere in that galaxy. Now, here's the thing. They're the only team to start 3-0, and they've been outgained. Total yards to me is something. It's not, I think yards per play is bigger. I think third down efficiency is better. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's see if I can get it. How do I get, there we go. All right. So, as you guys know, I'll go through that, I'll go through it real fast, what I think of, Colin's top 10, and then I'll give my top 10. And again, to be very clear, my top 10 is based on what's happening this week, right? Not trying to think of what's going to be in the future, who's going to, win and beat who in the playoffs. So I just always got to give that caveat. But yeah, listen, the 49ers, they're still a great team. They're still a top team in the NFL. They absolutely are. They're obviously dealing with some injuries. And so that's the biggest thing that's hampering them right now because they're not full strength, right? They're just simply not full strength. And that's the problem with them. So they become a hard team. I'm trying to get it where it was not as blurry. They become a team that's just not, they're not full strength. And so if they're not full strength, we don't really know what they look like, and they're just missing too many pieces. That to me is where the problem lies. Now, in terms of the next teams that follow, you're going to run into some problems as well because of the strength of schedule, where they all are, and how it's all unfolded, right? Because we had the 49ers not really full strength, and they played the Jets, and then the Jets got to win against the, against the Titans and the Patriots, and so it just becomes a little bit inconsistent. The Ravens then beat the Cowboys, but then lost to the Raiders, so it's just difficult to kind of make sense. But I think the Jets are also great. Aaron Rodgers has been nothing short of great, right? He has. He's been go look at PFF rankings. He's been a top quarterback in the NFL so far. And that's awesome. I know they didn't have this great, hit the ground running start against the 49ers, but they certainly didn't look like, slouches either. The Ravens, obviously an inconsistent start. They are still very Lamar-centric, even though they are getting Derrick Henry involved, but they almost blew the game against the Cowboys. It's hard to feel confident about them. It's just hard to have the confidence. The Eagles, right? They could be 3-0, but they're 2-1. And even with the win against the Saints, very questionable play calling, questionable decision making from Sirianni. They now have some injury concerns. When is A.J. Brown going to be back? I think, to me, the most optimistic that I have about the Eagles is that they're able to get some of these wins. Their defense really stepped up. They beat the hottest team in the NFL at the time. And, they built a brick wall. And they stopped them and they beat them. And I think Jalen Hurts is completely underrated at this point. And this has been without A.J. Brown. And I think we've only ever really seen the Eagles week 1. And people didn't even really give them their praise at that point either. So I think the Eagles are a lot better team than people give credit for. But some of the injury concerns, some of the things of like, when is AJ coming back? What's going on with the offensive line? Those are legitimate question marks. And can the defense continue to kind of the trend they did against the Saints? The Lions, they have some injury concerns now as well. They've been inconsistent. They played 1.5 good games so far. They definitely really own the Cardinals, but I wasn't crazy even how they went about it against the Cardinals. They're still so aggressive on 4th downs, doing some trick plays, and it just seems unnecessary. It makes me uneasy moving forward because I just don't know how to trust the coaching moving forward. That's really my concern. I think they're a top team in the NFL, make no mistake about it, but I just need to see more consistent gameplay, quite frankly. The Seattle Seahawks, I don't know what to make of them. I really, really, truly don't. I'm not going to just make up an opinion for the sake of having one. I really do not know what to make of the Seattle Seahawks. I know they're obviously off to a hot start, but it's just like, and I know I'm trying to tell you that I'm trying to focus right now on week 3, but at the same time, my mind still goes like, well, who are the Seahawks going to be in the playoffs? Like, who is this team? Are they just better than I even realize? And that's definitely a possibility. So if they end up being great, I will just end up being late to the party. The Packers, I just can't say enough good things about them. I do believe Matt LaFleur is a top coach in the NFL. I don't even understand how that could even be a debate or even a conversation. It's very clear what he's been able to do with the Packers, not only with Jordan Love, but then without Jordan Love, is nothing short. It's extraordinary. Someone said to me, oh, well, they beat bad teams with Malik Willis. That's to be expected. That should be expected from the Packers. And it's like, no, it's not. You know how hard it is to win with a backup quarterback, and a backup quarterback who you had for all of 2 minutes, even against bad teams. So like, no, that's nonsense. It's like, give me wins. That's not the way how this works. So no, it's been wildly impressive. And not only that, Malik Willis has looked amazing with the offense and the game plan of Matt LaFleur. So no, that just shows you how great the Packers are and how well coached and how well connected and the culture that they have. The Minnesota Vikings, right? Everyone keeps waiting for them to pop, and it's like, it's not going to happen. Stop waiting for something that's just not going to happen. They're not even full strength yet. They are a great team. They're a top team in the NFL. No question about it. Sam Darnold is for real. He found his home with the Minnesota Vikings with Kevin O'Connell. This offense is rocking and rolling, and they're not even full strength. And as Colin highlighted, and their defense is legit. And what do we know? When you have a great top-level offense and a great top-level defense, good things happen. So I'm really excited to see the Minnesota Vikings continue to move forward. Buffalo Bills, they've been ferocious. They've been great. Their schedule has been a little inconsistent as well in terms of who they're playing. The Jags are in a free fall. The Cardinals, it's a question mark how good or not good they are. I think they're a better team than maybe most people realize. Kyler Murray, and I think that's also a tough week 1 matchup with such an electric, dynamic quarterback like a Kyler Murray. So the fact that they won a close game to me goes a long way. But yeah, they haven't had, they faced the Miami Dolphins. They were clearly significantly better than Miami Dolphins, even with Tua for the most part of the game. But that was also a tough game to kind of gauge because I just don't know how good the Miami Dolphins are this year, and we won't know that now, especially because Tua is not playing. Kansas City Chiefs, they're winning games even though they're not playing good, right? It's so hard because they absolutely could be 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, right? Like they absolutely could, but things always seem to fall in their favor, whether it's the football gods, whether it's their own doing, or whether it just is what it is. And so that's scary enough, right? When they're not playing good, but they're still getting those wins. That's always scary. But you can look at it both ways because the Eagles were getting wins even though they weren't playing well last year, and that caught up to them. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's necessarily going to catch up to the Chiefs necessarily because they're too well coached, and you do have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Spags, and so that enough alone is going to just not have anything negative really catch up with you per se. But will it be enough when they really face a more complete top team like the Buffalo Bills, the Vikings, Packers full strength, whoever it may be. That is, to me, the bigger question right now. But, so as you guys also know, my top 10, I have to just do it where it is these teams alone. So I'm only rearranging his top 10. I'm not adding teams or removing teams. That's just, I do that more for the tiers on First Things First with Nick's tiers. This is just, to me, is a more fun and interesting way to go about doing it. So I got Seattle at 10. Again, it's just hard for me to gauge who they are. I'll be more than happy to be late to that party, and I will apologize to Seattle Seahawks for not understanding. I apologize. This is, to me, probably the most confusing of these three teams. I had the Jets, and then the Ravens and the 49ers. It's so hard. I don't know what to do. The Ravens just confuse me. They really, really do. I don't know how much I trust them, quite frankly. The Jets, I believe in Aaron Rodgers, but I still think that they need to kind of get things. They need to get momentum going, and they need to show me that their defense is going to be comparable to what it was last year, right? I would have liked to have seen them be better defensively against, say, the 49ers, and they weren't. Doesn't mean that they can't. I just need to see it more. So that's why the Jets, Ravens, and the 49ers are just a little bit confusing to me. And again, the 49ers would be significantly better, but they're missing all their weapons right now, right? They are probably a top 3 team, but they are missing everyone. And yet they're still competing at a high level, and Brock Purdy has been awesome, but it's just hard. When you have that many injuries, it really is just hard. And again, this is where it continues to get a little confusing for me, because like I said, I'm trying to focus on week 3, but then I'm also projecting into the future. And so I admit that, like, it's very contradictory and hard to not, do one or the other. But then I got Lions at 6. I still need to see them play better, complete football, start to finish. I just need to see better, more convincing wins before I put them back any higher, but I still do see them as a top team in the NFL. Then I got the Eagles at 5. I'm very impressed with the Saints win. I was impressed with the Packers win because I think the Packers are indeed a top team. And the Falcons, they had that game, but they lost it. And that is absolutely on them. The coaching for the Eagles will always make me uncomfortable because I do not believe that Nick Sirianni is in a position to out-coach any team, any of these teams up here. Not the 49ers, not the Jets, maybe the Jets, and not the Lions, maybe the Lions, not the Packers, not the Vikings, not the Bills, and not the Chiefs, right? So none of the true bona fide top teams do I have faith that the Eagles will be able to outcoach them. And then the Packers, as I've said, I just think the Packers are just an unbelievable team. I truly believe that they are dynasty building. They don't even have Jordan Love, and yet they're still rolling. That offense is humming along. Jordan Love would be a top MVP candidate right now. And people would be talking about, is Jordan Love the best quarterback in the NFL right now? He got injured, so that's not happening, of course. But just look out. My God, look out. And then the Chiefs. I actually have the Chiefs at 3 rather than 1 because they're not playing great football. Yes, they're getting away with wins, but they are also getting lucky. And I'm going to be consistent. When I say that about other teams, I'm still going to say it about the Kansas City Chiefs. The Vikings, this is not misleading to me. They're the number 2 team. I think they're a great team. I think Kevin O'Connell is also, without a doubt, a top offensive coach in the NFL. Him and Sam Darnold are just working. They're not even full strength. Just wait until they become full strength, and they could easily take the lead as being the number 1 team. Then you got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills as my number 1 spot. I do not automatically assume that they're just going to lose in January, like Colin is saying. Josh Allen is the MVP right now. The Buffalo Bills look the most dominant right now, right? They look like the most physical, the most well prepared, focused. They're just ready to go. They believe that this year is their year. Let's go, and it jumps off the screen when watching. So that's my top 10 based off of Colin's herd hierarchy. Let me know your thoughts below. Are there any teams that you think are missing? Any teams that you think need to be rearranged? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.